At the office, I was a corporate drone. But in private, I spent money lavishly, living an extravagant life, all because I was a kept woman. My patron was handsome and wealthy, and our arrangement was purely physical, no strings attached. That was until a trending topic appeared on X. Hashtag Hayes Grouper Ethan and heiress Isabella shopping for matching rings rumored to be engaged. Feeling a bit annoyed, I went to a male review bar a friend had recommended. Using his platinum card, I ordered several male dancers, from all different countries. Just as I was practically salivating over a muscular man, a hand roughly pulled me away and shoved me against the wall. Ethan's face was livid, and he gritted his teeth, saying, "Chloe, how dare you look for other men behind my back? You're getting bolder and bolder." During lunch break, as soon as I stepped into the break room, I heard people saying, "Did you see the trending topic? The group heir and our big boss's daughter are apparently getting married." Well, rich people naturally marry other rich people. Aren't they going to settle for corporate drones like us? I adjusted my glasses, my thick bangs obscuring my vision. I sat down in a corner by the window, opening the lunch container I'd brought from home with one hand and X with the other. The moment I saw Ethan's name on the trending topic, the last flicker of hope in my heart vanished. Hashtag Hayes Grouper Ethan and heiress Isabella shopping for matching rings rumored to be engaged. Within the topic, netizens sighed over the perfect match of talent and beauty, from families of equal standing, and offered their blessings. I glanced at the packed lunch he had personally prepared for me that morning before I left home. I originally wanted to righteously toss the packed lunch into the dumpster, but the aroma of pork ribs slowly wafted into my nostrils. The chicken with mushrooms was also my favorite, coated in rich, flavorful sauce. One bite was heavenly. In the end, I lacked any real backbone and ate the entire packed lunch. Back at my cubicle, my colleague next to me offered me a snack and asked, "That bag you're carrying, it's Hermes, isn't it? How much did it cost?" I blinked innocently. Hermes? I wouldn't know. I got it for $50 on a bargain shopping app. If you want it, I can send you the link. Her gaze lingered on my bag for 2 seconds before she chuckled awkwardly and turned away. The bag was indeed Hermes. Ethan had bought it as my birthday gift. As for the price, I never asked. Money was just a number anyway. Even then, I still wanted to give Ethan a chance, for the sake of the Hermes bag. But every message I sent out met with silence, eventually turning into a large red exclamation mark. I couldn't help but let out a self-deprecating sneer. Right, I was just his kept woman, not some important figure. What right did I have to question him? 02. I asked my boss for 2 hours off and went home early. The moving company and I arrived at the same time. The so-called 20,000 yuan white glove moving service packed everything in the house in the blink of an eye. Not even half a potato in the fridge was left behind. Throughout the process, I kept my eyes on the front door, afraid Ethan would suddenly appear. But he never showed up, not even as the car drove off, shaking as it headed towards the city outskirts. I didn't know whether I felt relieved or sad. It had been 5 years, after all. Who said a physical relationship wasn't a relationship, or that desire wasn't a feeling? Luckily, in those 5 years, I had secretly bought an apartment behind his back, otherwise I wouldn't know where to go if I were kicked out. Everyone needs their own place, after all. While the movers were busy inside, I sat on the balcony, biting into a melting popsicle. My fingertips slowly traced the bold pink word love on a photo album, and a pang of bitterness washed over me. Ethan and I had, from the very beginning, a purely transactional relationship. Back then, I.W. as a graduate student, and Ethan, the Hayes heir, was a junior at another university in the city. One time, when he came to my school for an exam, he got lost in the food street. I led him from one end of the street to the other, eating along the way, and eventually guided him out. In return, he offered me a job paying 100,000 yuan a month. It was to be his kept woman. At first, I thought he was crazy, but then I saw the thick stacks of cash and his clear 8-pack abs, and I thought I was the crazy one. In that moment, I did consider acting like a naive heroine from a TV drama, fiercely tearing up the contract, throwing away the cash, and pointing a finger at him, shouting, "Do you think this money can buy someone's dignity? Take your filthy money away, I won't be bought." But at the time, my hand seemed to have a mind of its own, quickly grabbing the cash, signing the contract, and incidentally, touching his abs. By the time I realized what was happening, we were already kissing. His kissing was terrible. It was more like gnawing on raw meat than actual kissing. But fortunately, his service attitude was good, and he was quite exceptionally gifted in bed. Neither of us expected such an unreliable arrangement to last for 5 years. 03. The moving wasn't even finished when I got a call from Zoe. "Sis, I heard your boyfriend is getting married?" I rolled my eyes. "My patron, he's my patron. It's purely a financial arrangement, no real feelings." "Alright, you ungrateful thing. Want to come out for drinks? Spent his money one last time." I glanced back at the house. "But I'm moving. I'll send my cousin over to help you watch things, you come have a drink." "But..." I was still hesitating. Zoe pulled out her killer move, reverse psychology. "Are you still thinking about him? It's fine, if you like him, just admit it boldly. I'll take you to crash the wedding then." I'm a complete sucker for reverse psychology. In that instant, my brain seemed to short-circuit. Yut, and I quickly agreed. By the time I realized I'd been tricked, I was already standing outside the bar. Dazzling lights swayed, and on the dance floor, several shirtless men were wildly gyrating their bodies. It made me blush deeply. Zoe slung an arm over my shoulder. "Well, my taste is impeccable, isn't it?" I was silent, exasperated, and nodded vigorously. It's all about comparison. I used to think Ethan's physique was impressive, but now, by comparison, it was just decent. Thinking of Ethan, the familiar pang of bitterness resurfaced. I slapped a platinum card on the table and, with a grand gesture, declared, "Bring me some fresh faces." Zoe buried her head in my shoulder, laughing uncontrollably. "Several? Can you handle them all?" "I have money, it's none of your business if I can handle them." She pursed her lips, neither confirming nor denying. 04. Before long, several handsome young men stood before our table. They were certainly fresh. Some were blonde and blue-eyed, some were dark-skinned, some were Southeast, some were Korean heartthrobs. But this one seemed a bit lacking, and that one too. Finally, my gaze settled on the muscular man at the end of the line. I remembered how many times I had asked Ethan to make his muscles more defined, and he never agreed. But then, for some reason, he started working out last month. Nothing could stop him. Even I was on a strict diet for a week with him. Now, I realized it was all in preparation for his wedding. What a disgusting jerk. Why didn't he just tell me he was getting married? Did he think I would cling to him? What kind of person did he take Chloe for? In a fit of pique, I downed an entire glass of whiskey. Before I could even clearly see the muscular man's face, I hardened my heart and chose him. He sat down next to me and tried to embrace me. With a nimble move, I slipped out from under his arm. For some reason, I, who could usually drink anyone under the table, felt lightheaded after just a few glasses of whiskey. Leaning against the wall, I kept muttering endless curses, not even sure what I was angry about. The muscular man approached me, coaxing with a smile. "Is the boss not in a good mood? You can tell me what's bothering you." I waved my hand. "It's nothing. Who hasn't met a few jerks in their life? I'm fine, I don't stoop to the level of animals." He grabbed my hand and pressed it against his chest. "My chest is here for you to lean on, ma'am. Would you like to feel it, ma'am? It's quite nice." 05. His two ma'ams greatly pleased me. Ethan, that jerk, was 2 years younger than me but always refused to call me older sister. He had no clue about bedroom fun. Every time I tried to experiment with something new, he would lecture me with narrowed eyes. I even thought he was a man of integrity because of that. Now, thinking back, what man of integrity would engage in a kept woman arrangement? He was a jerk, a complete jerk. I used the muscular man's strength to get up, leaning slightly towards him. My gaze subtly drifted between his ample chest muscles and 8-pack abs. They say the grass is always greener on the other side, and now I knew it for sure. I had never experienced such flattery and ingratiation at home before. I opened my fingers, reaching for the man's chest, but suddenly my wrist was seized. 5 years of familiarity allowed me to identify the person just from the veins bulging on the back of his hand. Slowly and with difficulty, I turned my head. Ethan's expression was twisted, his face livid, as he glared at me as if he wanted to devour me whole. "Chloe, how dare you look for other men behind my back?" I was stunned for a moment, then reacted, shooting up to my feet. I tried to glare back at him with the same ferocity. What's with the aggressive act? Mr. Hayes is about to get married, why does he still have time to bother with me? With the indignation churning inside me, my assertiveness ultimately faltered. He pulled my hand, trying to lead me away. Biting and clawing, I struggled to break free. He first gave me a long, deep look, then sighed helplessly. "Chloe, let's find a quiet place and talk properly." He said it with a tone of condescending indulgence, as if I were deliberately causing trouble. I glared at him, plopped down with a thud, grabbed the whiskey bottle, and chugged it. My chest heaved with anger, and my breathing grew ragged. One more spark, and I'd explode on the spot. The bottle was snatched away. I instantly flared up. Before I could even open my mouth to curse, I was lifted up. He scooped me up by the rear, carrying me off like some sort of ornament. This action was so far beyond my realm of thought that my brain instantly short-circuited. I couldn't curse anymore, nor could I throw a tantrum. I even forgot to struggle. 06, I was shoved into the passenger seat and buckled in. But then, as he turned away, I unbuckled and tried to run out. I ended up crashing right into his arms. That jerk, Ethan, acted as if he had eyes in the back of his head. He simply pulled me into the back seat, squeezing in beside me. One hand pinned both my wrists, his upper body leaned forward, pressing onto my legs as he rummaged through the glove compartment. After a moment, he pulled out a red velvet box. Inside was a brilliant diamond ring. A diamond the size of a pigeon's egg, truly beautiful. Even among the many pieces of jewelry Ethan had given me, this was the prettiest. My expression froze, and I carefully picked up the ring. What does this mean? It's for you. I tentatively tried to put it on my middle finger, but it didn't fit. Just as I was about to slide it onto my ring finger, I suddenly pulled my hand back. I tossed the ring back into the box and asked, "This isn't some freebie with a wedding ring, is it?" He smiled, took my left hand, and slid the ring onto my ring finger. It fit perfectly, snugly. "What kind of freebie is that valuable? Tell me which store, and I'll go buy from them." I playfully shoved him, then turned on the overhead light and admired the ring on my hand. "Are you willing to talk now?" I nodded. "For the sake of the diamond ring." 07, everything on the internet is a lie. I went to the mall to buy you a ring, and Isabella was just helping me choose. He held my hand, his face sincere. I believed him. "Then don't be angry anymore." He looked into my eyes, as if trying to distract me. At the same time, he pressed my hand to his chest. I admitted he was a quick learner. But some things just can't be faked. It just made me feel like a domineering madam. Still, I kind of liked being a madam. I flipped over, straddling him, and cupped his chin, kissing him forcefully. After a day of misery, this kiss was rough. He held my waist, quietly enduring it, docile as could be. No matter how much time passed, he always had that youthful awkwardness from when he got lost in the food street. It was already evening, and his naturally curly hair was starting to revert to its original state. I ran my fingers through his hair, then my other hand slid down his neck. Tracing slowly down his spine, suddenly, 2 vibrations came from his chest. He patted my shoulder and pulled out his phone from his pocket. Isabella's name was on the screen. The moment he saw the name, he took me off him, turned slightly, and became secretive. At that point, I sensed something was wrong. I frowned at him. A few seconds later, he hung up the phone and smiled apologetically at me. "I'm sorry, Chloe, I have an urgent matter that I need to handle right away." I looked at him, my face cold. "Isabella?" He evaded my question, pulling a set of keys from his pocket. "I know you've moved your things out of the house, which is fine. You can stay somewhere else for a few days. I bought an apartment for you near the office, you can stay there for now." He hadn't finished speaking when I slapped him. "Ethan, you disgust me. You want me to be your secret mistress?" Chloe, love money, but I will never be the other woman." With that, I pulled open the car door and left. He chased a few steps. In the crowded bar street, he broke his usual composure and restraint, shouting at me, "Chloe, I really want to marry you." I lowered my head and sneered. Turning around, I asked him, "All right, then let's go to the county clerk's office first thing tomorrow morning. Do you dare?" He fell silent. And that silence was the answer. I felt like such an idiot. I had fallen for his tricks again and again. A few flimsy explanations were enough to make me believe. He must have secretly called me lovesick and a money pit. I had often imagined the scenario of our breakup, and in most of those fantasies, I would drain him of his last penny and leave without looking back. But now, looking at his face, all I wanted was to get away as quickly as possible. I took the ring off my ring finger and threw it fiercely at him. "Ethan, the contract is over. This woman is done." 08, Zoe hugged me, pulling me against her chest. "Sweetie, if you're hurting, just cry it out." I patted her shoulder. "I'm suffocating." "Cry? What are tears?" "How could I, Chloe, ever cry over a man? I am fearless, unstoppable Chloe." That night, we drank until dawn. The next day, I inevitably called in sick again. Even I, who had never missed a day of work despite being a kept woman, was finally truly messed up by Ethan. As the wise one said, the best way to deal with heartache is to shop. As for which wise one? That would be Saint, of course. At the mall, we shopped from the first floor to the top, and then from the top floor back down to the first. We finally collapsed, exhausted. Since yesterday, Ethan hadn't called me again. My original plan was to wait for him to call, then hang up and block his number. But he never gave me the chance. My WhatsApp messages to him were still stuck with red exclamation marks. The last call from him was 2 days ago. On our last night together, he had picked me up from work. My only source of news about him was X09. That afternoon, a new trending topic appeared. Ethan and Isabella had gone to meet their parents. In the following days, I continued to work methodically, remaining a nobody at the office. Until evening, just before quitting time, a shadow fell over my desk. I slowly looked up to see a man in a black suit and sunglasses, like he stepped out of a gangster movie. "Hello, is this Miss Chloe? My wife would like to invite you to dinner." I glanced at the project proposal on my computer, which was just a little bit from completion, then looked up at him. He had such an ominous aura, as if the moment I refused, he would pull out a gun and shoot me on the spot. My colleagues around me all looked nervous, moving their chairs away. To everyone's surprise, I adjusted my glasses and said, "Can you wait 15 minutes? I'm almost off work." This dedication to my job left everyone astonished. They looked at me as if I were an idiot. The icon in the bottom right corner was blinking frequently. My mouse hovered over it for 2 seconds before nearly 100 messages popped up. "No way? Is she crazy? I thought that guy was about to pull a gun. What kind of person is she? She always kept a low profile. Did she get involved with gangsters? I bet she's some wealthy heiress. Haven't you seen the bags she carries? A different one every few days, either Hermes or Louis, all high-end brands. Then why does she still languish at the office every day? Do rich people have such peculiar hobbies? I even had her buy me coffee once. Is she going to take revenge on me?" Even the manager didn't say anything. Why does she insist on waiting until quitting time? Stop talking, the manager's last few hairs are going to fall out. I moved the mouse away, redirecting my attention back to the presentation. The man stood there motionless, like a silent sentinel. The moment quitting time arrived, I shut down my computer, grabbed my canvas tote bag, and told him, "Let's go, I'll meet your wife." He followed me downstairs and into a very discreet black car. In these 5 years, under the corrupting influence of wealth, I could instantly recognize the car's emblem, a Maserati. He opened the car door for me and thoughtfully shielded my head. Before getting in, I asked, "What is your wife's last name?" He nodded and respectfully replied, "Hayes." The answer was concise and clear, not a single extra word, leaving no room for speculation. However, when the car slowly entered an exclusive gated community and stopped in front of the Hayes estate, I think I had my answer. The man in black didn't get out with me, only saying, "I'll wait for you here." After getting out, I turned and tapped on his car window. "Do you know Ethan?" He didn't answer. His gaze behind the sunglasses was indistinguishable, but he seemed entirely dumbfounded. I suspected the Hayes estate had bad vibes. Each one of them was more cunning than the last, yet they all somehow looked goofy on the surface. I detested two-faced people like that the most. Tell him your physique is better than his. After saying that, I turned and walked away with a flourish. 10. The house at the Hayes estate was enormous. Far larger than I had imagined. In the courtyard, blooming with a riot of flowers, sat a distinguished lady. I walked over to her and sat down beside her. Her delicate teacup clinked softly. Her gaze slowly swept over me. Then she let out a scornful sneer. "Ethan's taste isn't great. Taking this type out, people will think we Hayes have some special preferences." Her words were harsh. But compared to my superiors at the office, it was nothing. The difference was that my superiors controlled my job and salary, and she wouldn't give me money, so why should I tolerate her? I smiled at her and said, "Of course, I can't compare to you. To be in a wheelchair and still come out to admire the flowers, that resilient spirit truly represents the Hayes F.A. Millie." She clearly hadn't expected me to say that. Her eyes widened slightly. However, she quickly regained her haughty demeanor. Sharp-tongued. "Do you not know who I am?" I replied, "I've received basic education and can recognize the Hayes character on your gait." "Then how dare you speak to me like that? How would you prefer me to speak? I am an elder, you should at least show basic respect. Then you should first respect me as a person. Judging someone's appearance the moment you meet them, even a 3-year-old knows that's impolite. Do you speak to Ethan like that?" "Not necessarily," I answered her with genuine patience. "He's quite generous, so sometimes I'm willing to overlook his minor quirks." She looked at me and suddenly smiled. When she smiled, she looked somewhat benevolent. However, I had already witnessed the Hayes family's talent for being two-faced. No matter how amiable or charming they appeared on the surface, it was nothing more than a facade. Then you don't want to know why Ethan dumped you? Your words are rather unpleasant, as if I'm something disposable, that you'd use the word dumped. We broke up. Men, you know, always wanting to have it all. She gracefully rose to her feet and looked up at a window on the second floor. I followed her gaze and saw Ethan. He said you were a very good person and hoped I could have a chance. I gave you a chance, but the result was not satisfactory. You are not a daughter-in-law worthy of my Hayes family. Ethan's and my eyes met in the air. For just a second, I averted my gaze. A deep irritation simmered within me. I had the immediate feeling that everyone in the world was treating me like an idiot. 11. I nodded at Mrs. Eleanor. Thank you for wasting your time. I'm just an orphan with no family, hardly worth your or Mr. Hayes's concern. From now on, it's probably best if we go our separate ways. I turned to leave, not listening to her any further. Suddenly, there was a thud behind me, but I didn't turn back until someone stumbled and grabbed my wrist. Chloe. Ethan's forehead was beaded with cold sweat, and he wore a look of agony. Behind him, Mrs. Eleanor was so frightened she couldn't even maintain her composed facade, yelling for someone to quickly find a doctor. He had just jumped from the second floor. I truly love you. I had once believed that sentence. But now, I didn't know whether to believe it or not. A swarm of people crowded around us, all utterly distraught. Yet he smiled at me, sliding the ring I had thrown away onto my finger. Chloe, I never lie to you. I stared at our intertwined hands, feeling stunned. But quickly, I pulled my hand from his, saying in a detached tone, please, go to the hospital. Chloe, can you please believe me one last time? I smiled at him, then turned and left the Hayes estate. His sobbing came from behind me. He asked me to trust him, but he gave me no reason to. I thought, from that day on, we were truly over. 12. Not so. The next morning, when I arrived at the office, the receptionist handed me a huge bouquet of flowers, almost too many to carry. The sender had left a drawing. It was quite good, a puppy proposing marriage. He used to apologize by drawing every time he made me angry. He was too good to me, and our dynamic felt too much like a romantic relationship, which led me to misunderstand. It made me forget that I was merely his kept woman. Whether I was his only kept woman remained to be seen. Actually, I wasn't angry anymore. In the past few days he'd been gone, I had already soothed myself. It was simply that we couldn't continue. I didn't know how to convince myself to be the other woman. No amount of money, no amount of love, would change that. I looked at the drawing, but I didn't keep the flowers. It would be a waste to throw them away, so the receptionist gave one to each employee in the office, and the rest were planted in a circle around the money tree by the entrance. All morning, my colleagues showed dozens of times more attentiveness than usual. Around 3 in the afternoon, everyone's attitude shifted again. I first noticed it when I went to the break room for coffee. The gazes from behind me even felt like a burning sensation. I returned to my cubicle and saw the messages in the Discord group chat. That woman on X, is she from our office? Yes, she was taken away by a man yesterday, and she was wearing that exact outfit. Corporate headquarters issued a statement today saying the rumors about the Hayes estate are false. But if you ask me, it was clearly ruined by the other woman. But I don't think that woman is particularly pretty. Could the Hayes heir really be interested in her? Oh, you wouldn't understand. She clearly has her own special talents. Their comments prompted me to open X's trending topics. I had been photographed by reporters yesterday when I was going in and out of the Hayes estate. What's more, shortly after I left the Hayes estate, Ethan was taken away by an ambulance. It let people's imaginations run wild about what was happening inside. I don't know why those paparazzi were so idle, ignoring celebrities to photograph the Hayes family. Half an hour after the topic hit the trending list, Ethan posted a short clarification. But no one knew it was the famous Hayes heir's X account, and the clarification quickly met with silence. I couldn't help but think the worst. Was he doing it on purpose, just so I would see it and feel indebted to him? Just as I still didn't believe that this ring was truly bought for a proposal. While I didn't know much about the intricate dramas of wealthy families, I had watched plenty of short dramas. If we really got back together, I would constantly be undermined by Ms. Isabella. No matter the time, if Ms. Isabella called, Ethan would rush to her side. Even if I were sick and on my deathbed, Ethan would still go to be with Ms. Isabella. If we had children, my child would have to watch our own father give his favoritism to another. I understood this kind of grueling emotional drama all too well. I absolutely could not allow such a thing to happen. 13. They say bad news travels fast. Usually, I excelled at my projects, but no one in the office ever paid much attention to me. Now, they were all staring at me, some even with their phones raised. Just before quitting time, my superior found me, looking at me as if I were something dirty. Everything he said implied I should resign. Why should I resign voluntarily? I can't just give up my livelihood because of baseless rumors. Chloe, you make it sound like I'm forcing you. You've offended the higher-ups. Do you think I can protect you? Instead of dragging the entire department down, you should be more sensible. Things aren't at all like what's being said online. I believe the big boss won't be blind and unreasonable like some people. You. He pointed a finger at my nose. I've treated you well in these 2 years you've been at the office. Why do you insist on harming me? I didn't intend to harm you, but I can't let others harm me either. He got furious and slammed something on his desk. Fine. Chloe, you're really something. Do you think I can't do anything about you? Since you don't have many projects right now, you'll go on the remote charity project. Tonight. I turned and left, without giving him a pleasant look. Ethan was a generous employer. I had saved a lot of money in these 2 years. I continued working simply because I couldn't stand being idle. And enduring all their targeting was because I couldn't accept them dumping all the blame on me. They could call me a gold digger, or materialistic. But as for being the other woman, I didn't do it, so I didn't do it. I left the office to go home and pack my luggage, receiving countless stares along the way. I never thought I'd receive celebrity treatment one day. How interesting. 2 hours later, as I was heading back to the office with my luggage, a person suddenly lunged out of a dumpster in the community. Before I could even see clearly, the person pulled out a knife and swung it at me. After dodging several times, I finally attracted the attention of the security guards. They rushed over. Just as I thought I was saved, the man went crazy, swinging a knife so fast it blurred, and grabbing a wooden club with nails from the dumpster. In the nick of time, a man's muscular chest embraced me from behind. He kicked the assailant away with his injured leg. The blade plunged deep into his leg, burying itself completely. The attacker was subdued by the security guards, and someone nearby called the police. I knelt before Ethan, my hands trembling. My blood ran cold, and my body felt numb. Are you okay? Are you hurt? His face was pale, but he held my hand reassuringly, smiling grimly. Good thing I had a cast on. Seeing him force a smile like that, tears instantly welled up in my eyes. How could a pampered scion of a wealthy family like him ever suffer such pain? The security guards waited for the police to arrive, and I took Ethan to the hospital. The doctor chuckled when he saw the wound on Ethan's leg. It's you again? And the same leg? Ethan blushed with embarrassment and buried his face in my embrace. 14. While the doctor treated Ethan's wounds, I received a call from my superior. He had completely shed his demanding demeanor from earlier in the day, now sounding somewhat ingratiating. You should have said something sooner. This was a major misunderstanding, wasn't it? There's no need for you to trouble yourself with the remote charity project. I've already found someone else, so please, get some rest. I hung up the phone, confused. I only found out on X that Isabella had retweeted Ethan's clarification and publicly stated that she and Ethan were just friends. At the same time, the Hayes also issued a clarification via their official corporate headquarters account. In an instant, online public opinion underwent a complete reversal. Yet, despite all this, I didn't feel a shred of happiness. The truth was so simple, and the explanation came so easily, it made me feel like an idiot all these days. After his wounds were treated, Ethan was wheeled directly into a hospital room. Still groggy from the anesthesia, he lay disoriented on the bed. I sat by his bedside for a while until a knock sounded at the door. It was the same man in black from last time, only today he was dressed a bit thicker, as if deliberately guarding against someone. I nodded and followed him out. Miss Chloe. Ethan's parents sat together, looking somewhat tired. If their son was injured twice in a row because of a woman, I'd be tired too. Ethan and Mr. William bore a striking resemblance, yet at first glance, no one would think they were father and son. Their temperaments were simply worlds apart. Mr. William's aura was deep and mysterious, carrying a haughty sense of authority. It made Ethan seem like a child. Mr. Williams' first words were, "Ethan, when you're discharged, you too should get your marriage certificate." Immediately after, Mrs. Eleanor gave me a dismissive glance and added, "I don't approve of you. You're clearly only after his money. You ran away faster than anyone the moment trouble arose. It's obvious you're not sincere." But had set his sights on you. That boy is incredibly stubborn, he wouldn't listen to anyone. If we confiscated his phone, he'd sneak out. If we locked him in his room, he'd jump out the window and escape. After all, he's my own flesh and blood. You might be willing to let him go, but I'm not. Since he likes you, we'll accept it. The family is prominent and wealthy, even if you were a gold digger, we wouldn't miss what you took. Just promise me this, after you're married, you two must live a good life together. I sat across from them, waiting until they finished speaking before I slowly said, "Who said I'm marrying Ethan?" "Not marrying?" Mrs. Eleanor's eyes widened. "After all this commotion, you're not getting married? Are you just playing games with us? When did I cause a commotion? Ethan and I already broke up. If it's because of Isabella, that's truly a misunderstanding. We've been trying to set them up all along, but they never had any interest in each other. Well, I still don't want to marry him. I'm too simple-minded to grasp the intricacies of high society drama, and I certainly don't want to deal with a difficult mother-in-law. You." Mrs. Eleanor pointed a finger at me in anger, but thinking of her son lying in the hospital room, she could only concede. "After you two get married, you can move out. I'm too lazy to worry about you. But I'm after your family's money. Aren't you worried? The family has money, and if it could be swindled by a young woman like you, then the Hayes family would be destined for ruin anyway." She spoke recklessly in her anger, launching into an indiscriminate attack. Mr. William glanced at her helplessly and sighed. I figured they weren't overly cruel parents after all. I cleared my throat. "Are you serious?" She waved her hand dismissively. "Believe it or not, I don't care. If that rascal can't keep his wife, how can he blame his mother?" 15, I chuckled, then picked up my phone. "You heard that, your mom says you're incapable." It was then that they realized I had been on the phone with Ethan the whole time. If the anesthesia hadn't worn off yet and he wasn't physically incapacitated, Ethan would have followed me up here. Mrs. Eleanor grew even angrier, snatched my phone, and launched into a furious scolding. "You ungrateful thing, they say a son forgets his mother for his wife, and you're not even married yet, but you're already siding with your girlfriend. Conspiring with an outsider to trick your old mother, you're completely swayed by your girlfriend. With your worthless behavior, you'll soon be tricked out of the shirt off your back." Seeing her fierce and intimidating expression reminded me of our first meeting. Back then, she'd maintained a serene and composed demeanor, so she must have been suffering immensely to hold it in. Still, I could see that the Hayes family truly doted on their youngest son. Mrs. Eleanor scolded until she was out of breath, then sat off to the side, sulking. I shamelessly sidled up to her, very casually wrapping my arm around hers. "Mom, you look so pretty even when you're angry. Big-hearted women like us don't bother with men's trivialities, so let's not be mad anymore, okay?" Mrs. Eleanor glared at me. "So now I'm not a difficult mother-in-law anymore?" "Of course not." I swung her arm. "We're the best of friends." Mrs. Eleanor was experienced and worldly, but she probably hadn't seen anyone change expressions as quickly as I did. But as the saying goes, you can't stay mad at someone who's trying to be friendly. With me flattering her so much, she couldn't really stay angry. "Is this how you've got my son wrapped around your little finger?" "Mom, we're just being sincere with each other." She let out a small tsk, a hint of disdain in her expression. I hugged her tighter. "If you're still mad, let's go upstairs and confront Ethan. He's caused me so much trouble. Not only has he made me sad, but now I might even lose my job. I'm angry too, so let's go settle things with him together." As I spoke, I tried to pull her hand to go upstairs. Ultimately, a mother cares for her son deeply, and she finally forgave him. He's already so badly injured, just let him off the hook. And my feelings were no different. He was so badly injured, what was there to blame him for? Besides, it was all a misunderstanding in the end. He hadn't lied to me. If there was anyone to blame, it was those rumor-mongering paparazzi. Earlier in the emergency room, his lips were colorless from the pain, yet he was still forcing himself to stay alert and explain everything to me. He bought the ring to propose to. Oh me. He blocked me because his parents had confiscated his phone. They had acted without his consent. When he left after taking Isabella's call, he thought his parents had discovered his plan to escape and were driving over to catch him. To avoid implicating me, he had to leave. After he was taken away that day, he threw a huge fit, begging his parents to accept us. In the end, it was only after he went on a hunger strike until he fainted that his parents finally compromised. He had jumped down that day intending to explain, but I didn't give him a chance. "I originally wanted to resolve all the issues before proposing to you, but I never expected you'd still have to face all this." A frail, pitiful, weak handsome man said these placating words. His eyes glistening with tears, he just hoped to be forgiven. Surely no one could resist softening. At least, I couldn't. Before we could talk much more, the doctors and nurses wheeled him away. Just when he'd finally finished treatment and we were about to talk, his parents arrived again. By the time we could finally talk quietly for a while, it was already nighttime. He looked at the diamond ring on my finger and said, a little aggrieved, I originally wanted to give you a romantic proposal. I took off the ring and handed it back to him. Then do it again. Will you still say yes? I don't know. Even if I say yes, I might run off on our wedding day. Even if we get the marriage certificate, I could change my identity and hide abroad. Haven't you read any runaway bride stories? Anyway, you'd better be extremely vigilant until this life is over. Although these were clearly threats, he loved hearing them. He took my hand, cupping it to his chest. You want to spend your whole life with me? Oh no, this lovesick man is beyond saving. I pulled my hand free but didn't argue, simply asking, I just wanted to work honestly, but now everyone at the office knows we're involved. How do you plan to compensate me? Well, I'll pen a company for you. You can be the boss, and I'll be the boss's wife. You can't be the boss's wife. Why not? You don't want to marry me? You're a man. If anything, you'd be the boss's husband. He nodded vigorously. Fine, I'll be your supportive partner. Being lovesick isn't so bad sometimes. 16. The next morning, I first went to the office to handle my resignation, and then to the police station to give my statement. The identity of yesterday's assailant had also been uncovered. He was an employee from the corporate headquarters who had a long-standing crush on Isabella. After seeing online news that Isabella was about to marry Ethan, he had secretly followed Isabella for several days. Isabella had even reported him to the police several times. After the man was arrested and detained for a few days, he came out and immediately saw the news of Isabella's fiancé's infidelity. He then rushed to seek justice for Isabella again. Fortunately, no one was injured this time, and the man would be locked up for a long time. Hearing all this, a chill ran down my spine. He was detained before and still wouldn't leave Isabella alone. If I send him to prison, won't he do something even crazier when he gets out? The police officer replied, we will help you apply for a restraining order. Only then did I feel relieved. Ethan was waiting for me outside the police station. The driver was an older man. I couldn't help but tease, why didn't you bring that guy in the black suit this time? He's one of my dad's men, I can't just order him around. He narrowed his eyes, suddenly leaning closer to me. I remember you liked men with good physiques like his. Oh, whose jealousy is this? It's stifling. If you don't like him, why do you keep thinking about him? Who's thinking about him? I just said that to tease you, didn't you realize? I did, but I think there's some truth in every joke. You do like good physiques. So, I think when my leg recovers, I'll hit the gym and definitely get in better shape than any of them. I smiled and nodded. I'll be looking forward to it then. As we chatted, the car had already stopped in front of the county clerk's office. I was a little surprised. Are you in such a hurry? Of course I'm in a hurry. What if you suddenly change your mind? The older man took the wheelchair from the trunk and pushed Ethan inside. The sight was truly attention-grabbing. I guessed it wouldn't be long before I was trending online again. I took the wheelchair from the older man and whispered a reminder, who gets married on crutches? People will think I'm forcing you to marry me. Chloe, I'm just so nervous. My heart softened, and I agreed. By the time I came back to my senses, we had not only registered our marriage but I'd even posted about it on social media. Zoe called immediately to interrogate me and demanded a private table at the wedding reception. Ethan agreed and told her to send over everything she wanted to eat. He was already blinded by overwhelming joy. Now, even if someone lied to him that the moon could bless their marriage, he'd believe it and try to pluck it from the sky. That very evening, Mrs. Eleanor sent someone to deliver a large box of jewelry. There was a huge pile of blue, green, red, and pink pieces, more than I'd ever dare to buy, even if it were just plastic. Not only that, but there was also a large stack of property deeds and a big bunch of car keys. And she left a message, now that you're married, don't be strapped for cash. Buy whatever you want, the Hayes family won't be ruined by a few expenses. I expressed my gratitude and invited her to go shopping the next day. She haughtily refused me, but the next morning, a car was parked outside my house bright and early. There's real pleasure in winning over a proud woman with a warm heart beneath a cool exterior. A month later, she was actively inviting me to afternoon tea. A year later, when my new company opened, she came out of retirement and poached renowned designers and CEOs from the industry to join my small venture. My mother-in-law easily won over. One ordinary evening, I came home from work and was embraced from behind. He took my hand and guided it over his chest and abs, asking in a smug tone, "How's this? My training paid off, didn't it?" I chuckled, turned my head, and held his hands behind his back. "Say big sister for me." His face reddened. "Isn't that inappropriate? So, are you going to say it or not?" After a moment, he said in a whisper, "Big sister. Good boy. Big sister will take care of you." Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.